Hello and welcome. This is my Building Author series, and my name is Angela Eureka Smith. And today, this class, I'm going to be teaching you how to lay out a book from start to finish, like the whole thing. So you will have the power to publish whatever you want with using all free software, from the art to the cover creator to the layout program. And I have to thank A.F. Stewart, who's a good friend of mine from way back. We started on a program called Gather, or I guess I should say an online platform called Gather ages ago. And she's been an awesome friend since then. And last week, she mentioned this program called Papyrus Author. And I've been wanting to teach a publishing class forever. But the hard thing about publishing, that the hardest thing to get into self-publishing, is the programs to do the layout. Um, I know of two personally, InDesign and Quark. And I've never used InDesign, but I think it's pretty much the same as Quark. The differences between them is InDesign is a subscription, and Quark, you just buy it up front. As far as I know, unless they've changed it by the time you're watching this. But Quark is what I learned on, and I learned because I worked in newspapers, and one of our newspaper layout people quit, and there was an emergency. And so I was the editorial assistant. I got to step in and learn layout really quickly, which was awesome, and I loved, regretted nothing, very happy to do that because layout is an incredible skill. So I used Quark with that newspaper office, and Quark at the time, and probably still is, was an $800 program. I didn't have $800 to spend on this. I was lucky enough to get a discount as a teacher because I taught creative writing and a bunch of other classes like that for college. So I was lucky, and I got it for $80 as a teacher discount. But not everybody can do that. As far as InDesign is concerned, I believe it's a monthly program, like maybe it's from Adobe, like $20 or $30 a month. The problem is if you ever stop your subscription, you lose access to all of the documents that you've created. Apparently, like I said, I'm not that familiar with InDesign, but that's what I've heard, and I just didn't want to use it. Also because I had Quark already. The other problem, or the other difficulty, I'll say not a problem because nothing is ever a problem, but hurdle is a good way to put it. The other hurdle is the learning curve because it's pretty difficult. Not pretty difficult, but there's a big learning curve to using either of these programs, which is why they teach them in college. So, all that being said, I've been looking for a free, easy to use, but effective program that was free for everybody. And A.F. Stewart told me about Papyrus Author. So I'm super excited. You can also publish books using Google Docs or Word, but they look like Google Word or Google Docs books. I mean, they just don't have all the bells and whistles to make it a really polished production. So, without further ado, let's get into this. Today, we're just going to do the initial layout so you can see how to set up your document and how to start laying out some of the first things. And the book we're going to be using is called Ordeal in French Lipstick by Amy Zollers. It's a poetry book. And I just want to thank Amy for volunteering her book to be my demonstration model to show how publishing works. And I also should say who I am. And I'm going to flip over to my bio because, believe it or not, I usually forget. My name is Angela Eureka Smith, as I said, and I'm an award-winning poet, author, publisher with 20 plus years of experience as a professional writer in nonfiction. A lot of that was for newspapers. I've pretty much written for anybody who would allow me to write for them for free, for food, for love and appreciation. I've pretty much written for all things. For money, money is also good. We all love money. I'm also a 3-time Bram Stoker Awards finalist for excellence in long fiction, which was Bittersweet's my novella in 2018. Excellence in poetry, which is Tortured Willows, which is this year. It is a finalist. So in about a month, we'll find out if it is actually a winner. And I have excellence in an excellence in short nonfiction. And that was Horror Writers, Authors of Hope. It's a little essay that appeared in the Siren's Call Easing, which is a great publication. I was also selected as the Horror Writer Association's Mentor of the Year in 2020. And 4 of my poetry chapbooks have been nominated for Elgin Awards. You can also tell the reason why I'm a writer, because I don't vocal well. But if you'll put up with me, I'm happy to vocal with you. Just don't expect perfection. Other recognitions I've received include winning the 2019 Science Fiction and Fantasy Poetry Association's Dwarf Star and the Missouri Writer Guild's President Award for Best Short Story and Best Magazine Article. And I believe I had a second place in poetry as well in that contest. I've received a Riesling nomination as well as a Pushcart Prize nomination in poetry. And I published Space and Time magazine, which was started in 1966 by Gordon Linsner. And I offer resources for writers on my blog, angelawysmith.com. And that is enough about me, because the important thing that you're here to find out about is Author Papyrus. So, free program, 100% free. They do have a paid version, but you can publish 100% for free. And I have, since I got it, I believe just over a week ago at this point, I've published 3, maybe 4 ebooks now, and a paperback. Yeah, it's been amazing. This has been the easiest publishing scenario I've ever experienced in my 10 plus years of self-publishing. So, and I have an example of the book that I just published with them to show you. But first, we're going to get into the program. You go to papyrusauthor.com, as you can see there, and you just download the program for free. If you want the paid version, you can certainly do that, but it's going to be more writing skills, kind of like a Scrivener type thing. And they have like organizational things and editing things, but we are just going to focus on the publishing end of it at this point. So let me go up here. I'm not going to download it because I've already downloaded it. This is the tab, the magic tab, which you need. And the paid version, even if you do the paid version, I'm not affiliated with Author Papyrus or Papyrus Author at all. Goodness gracious, I can't even get the name right. But it is $15 a month, and I honestly may try it at some point. These are the features, which you can certainly go look at Papyrus Author yourself, and you may want to partake of it. If you decide to use their the paid version, let me know how you like it, because I am genuinely curious. So that is where you need to go to get Papyrus Author. And we don't need that now, so I'm going to close it. We are going to upload the beginnings of a book from start to finish. Now, I've actually already finished this book for Amy, and I don't want to use that version again because I've taped this class a couple of times because I don't vocal well and I kept forgetting things. So now I have like a little agenda and list to help me out, and I just read things. So anyways, we're learning. So I have Papyrus Author uploaded already. Here it is. I'm going to open it up. And we're going to call this book sample or example, just so you can see. Whoops, this came up on the wrong side. There we go. You can see some of the books that I have already done with it. This is Building Story. And that is this one right here. This is the last class that I taught. Oops, I will do this so you can see it. There we go. Sorry about that. This is the book that I just published with Author Papyrus. It took me about an hour to put this together. First time I've ever used Author Papyrus. You can see it's a good looking book. Like I said, this was the first class that I taught, and I decided to turn it into a book so I could honestly play with Author Papyrus. So I'm very impressed with how this book turned out. I think I put the whole thing together from start to finish in an hour without ever having tried this program before. And I had zero help. Like I didn't have any tutorial helping me necessarily. There is some tutorials online already, but the program, I guess, has changed a little bit. But yeah, so you can see this is actually a book put together with author Papyrus. So this is what you can build. All right, let's go back to this, the good parts. So anyways, we're going to go over here. The green tab, new project is what you need. And the first thing you're going to do is name your project. And this is Ordeal in French Lipstick. And we're going to say example. So I don't get confused and accidentally publish this. And this is the example that we're going to use. But I will show you the finished version when it's completely done. And we are going to be using that original version to put the cover art in and format the cover. Also free. You're going to be able to do every single thing from art to cover layout to this layout for free using programs available online. All right, so let's get into it. That being said, you come over here and you're going to choose what kind of project you want. That book that I did, the building storybook that I just showed you, was a 6x9. That's the trim size, nonfiction in F. And that nonfiction refers to how Papyrus author formats the text. So the fiction, the 6x9 fiction, or well, it actually doesn't have anything, but just the 6x9 trim. It has indentations. It's set up to be more like a fiction book. And then this one is set up to not have any indentations, which is what I want for poetry. So I'm going to use that one. But just to show you a little bit more, they've got like 5x8, pretty much all the trim sizes you could want. Nonfiction projects, regular. So those are not for books, but you just want to make a report maybe and use this more as a word processing. You can do a pocket book, which is a smaller book. I have a whole stack of samples because I have books that I can show off, many, many books. So this is like a pocket book, like a 4.25 by 6, your regular old Del Rey kind of pulpy book. Not saying that Lao Tzu is pulpy at all. We have hardbacks, which Amazon will now publish for you. And I have a hardback here. This was published by Amazon. This was actually one of the first hardbacks back when it was a pilot program. But you can see it's a hardback, and it turned out really beautiful. This is a book that I produced and published with my daughter, Kira Starr. And you can see the interior turned out great. So yeah, I'm really impressed with Amazon's hardback program that they have. And by the way, we're going to come across bleed and no bleed. This is bleed or full bleed, you might hear it called sometimes. And that is referring to this illustration goes to the edge of the page and cuts off. So as opposed to no bleed, which would be this. There is no illustration off of that page. Another example would be this beautiful publication. This, even though it's not even a picture, would be bleed because you want that image, which is just a flat color, to go off the page. This would be no bleed. Bleed, whoops. So you can see bleed is really, really nice. I do enjoy using bleed. So that is the difference there. So let's go back to Papyrus Author. So you've got your hardbacks. You can do extra large, which would be this, the magazine that I just showed you. This would be an extra large 8.5 by 11, which is also what we format the magazine Space and Time with. That's the size we have there. There's all plus bleed. So that's everything that you saw up here plus having bleed. So these would have that ability to have an illustration going off the page. The one that I chose up here, you would not have that. So if Amy decides she does want an image going off the page like that, a full bleed image, I will have to trade it for one of these with the full bleed, which is not a big deal. And then here's all of those sizes, but just blank in case you don't want their formatting at all and you want to do completely your own thing, you can. So I do love that Author Papyrus kind of takes the kind of pointless details that are always going to be the same, like your gutter, which is tutorial on publishing here. Yeah, you can, I am not in my element at all. No. This is your gutter width. This margin on the inside is called your gutter. And this, of course, whoops, on the other side, this is, your margin. The size of a book is referred to as your trim size. So this is a 6x9, and that's exactly what we're going to build Amy's book as, is this same size. I personally love 6x9s. They are easier to read. They're not all cramped, I think, like the smaller books, the pocket books. And I think they just look nice. You have a nice cover that you can enjoy. So I favor the 6x9. So we're going to go up here and we are going to do a 6x9 nonfiction format. Oh, and one last thing I was going to show you. I'm sorry, I just love showing off my books. You can see like the trim differences here. This is a paperback, The Building Story. They're both 6x9s, but you can see that the hardback 6x9 is slightly bigger. This is why it's so important to pay attention when you're uploading your books to what you're selecting, because if I take this document, this Crack and Fever document, and I tried to upload it as Building Story with those criteria, Amazon will reject it. And it's frustrating because as the user, you're going, they're both 6x9. They're actually not. And you can see all the variations in trim size here. I think this is also a 6x9. Yep. A wider 6x9. Whoops. So hard to keep everything in the camera. Down to that one. So these are just the wide variety of trim sizes. So these are things to think about, is what size do you want your book before you start out? Oh, and then we've even got this one, the little Lao Tzu. I forgot Lao Tzu. One of the reasons why people do like to use the smaller trim sizes is because you wind up with a thicker book pretty easily. But so that's kind of that little rundown on trim sizes and bleed. And there's going to be a glossary that goes along with this so that you can see that. All right, so we're going to select our 6x9 nonfiction format, create a new project. And then this pops up. And so I already have the document here that we're going to use. And here is the document that we're going to format. Now we're at the hardest step of this whole process. So, and that, I mean that almost sarcastically. It did take me a while to figure this part out, but it's pretty easy once you know. And you know now because you're watching this. So the hardest thing that I found for all of this, you can see everything is already formatted and ready to go. But this book is not called My New Book, the Upcoming Bestseller by Angel. And if I clicked on it, I can't change that. And I found that very frustrating at first. Can't change any of this, what they're calling front matter. So, but it's actually quite easy. Come up here to Document, right here, Document Properties, and there's that information. So we're going to come over here and well, do this so you can see it change. This book is called Ordeal in French Lipstick. I don't think Amy has a subtitle. So we will leave that blank. Her name is Amy Zollers. And again, I hope I said thank you to Amy for allowing me to have her book as my test subject. This is just changing all these little details, when it's published, and all of that. We're also going to change the publisher because it's going to be published by Eureka Publishing, which is named after my grandmother, not me. I didn't think about that when I called it Eureka Publishing, and now it always embarrasses me because I feel like it is a huge ego thing. And it is, but for my grandmother, who deserved it. I do not deserve it. So here's Eureka Publishing and all that. We're going to put the copyright at 2022 because that's what year I'm filming this in. And then apply. Boom. Everything changes. And if you're looking at this and you're going, ew, that's a fugly font, that's okay. All of this can be changed to how you like it, to personalize it. So nobody is going to look at this and go, oh, that's one of those Papyrus author books. This is going to be your book by the time you get done with it. So this has changed. You can see this front matter has changed. This we're coming to in just a minute. Easy. You are already well on your way. Now, if you come to book and author, this is something that is available in Author Papyrus that I'd never really seen. I mean, maybe I just wasn't being an observant or not, but I've never really seen this in another book before, but I love that. You can see it in Building Story. Now, you can choose to get rid of this and not have it at all. But in Building Story, I should probably do this so you can see. In Building Story, you can see it's at the front. The book and then the bio of the author. I love this because when I pick up a book, I do, I guess, look at the back. But the first thing I do, and possibly this is a neurotic me thing, the first thing I do is I thumb through the book because I want to see, what does the book layout look like? What is the quality? As I'm combing through and catching little paragraphs, are they good paragraphs? Are they interesting? Are the topics, if this is a nonfiction, are the topics good? And if I thumb over here and see this, I'm going to read that. I'm going to read that over the back of the book because I feel like the back of the book is just a bunch of blurby mishmash that's going to try to get me to buy the book. Wait, who would try to get somebody to buy a book? Oh my goodness, that would be so weird. But anyway, so I do love that front matter part. That's what it looks like when it's printed. Now let's get back to it. So we've got this. I've already got this from Amy in my document. Wait, where is it? Apparently, I'm using the wrong document. Hold on just a moment. Which, this is a good thing to point out right now is you really, really, really want to... Oh, that's because I'm not in Ordeal and French Lipstick. You really want to be organized. I will just say that. And while I am looking for the right document, I'm going to put on some nice music. This is actually a pre-planned demonstration to show you all the different aspects of publishing. And at some point, turn that down a little bit. At some point in publishing, you will probably have this moment where you're like, shoot, what document am I working on? Which is why it's very important to keep all your things separate in folders and make sure you're working on the same one. Well, that is annoying. Let me do this. Huh. All right, let me look in my Google Docs. I do love Google Docs over Word. And search up Ordeal in French Lipstick. It's right there. Oh, yep. Speaking of organization, I'm in the wrong Google Docs. I love Google Docs so much, I actually have two Google Docs. I have my personal one, which is where this was. Oh, and I guess I can actually show you this process. So this is my Google Docs, Eureka Publishing. I forgot this is a book I'm publishing for somebody else. And we're going to come over here. There we go. Okay. And we'll close that off. We're going to swap that. And we're going to pretend it never happened. All right. So now, that was my demonstration to show you what disorganization looks like. Come up here. Here's the title and everything. Boom. Look at that. Somebody's organized and I have all the information I need right there. So we're going to go copy this bio. I'm just totally kidding. I totally was organized there. Had the right document the whole time. And up here in this book and author, we're going to copy paste that into author description and boom, there's the author. Come back over here. So really, this is a good demonstration to show you, even if you it's really hard to mess up this program. You can be pretty silly and still do a good job with this Papyrus author. So, and boom, there you go. All updated. And so one of the other things I know found out with author Papyrus is you want to save. If you are a Google user like I am, you've gotten used to not having to save ever because it does it automatically. With Papyrus author, you do need to save right now. So I've done that, and this is our book so far. Oh, and these we can just get rid of. Those are little sticky tabs. Kind of one of the nice things is you can add little notes for yourself like this and keep track of things. And that's part of the free program. You don't even have to pay for that. So we are well on our way to having you on your way. So table of contents, this is such a breeze. So easy. You get down to these right here. They've always got two sample ones started for you. Oh, and let's do her poem in the front real quick as well. I almost forgot that. So we're going to come up here, and where do we want to put that poem? Let's put it after this page. So we're going to go here and insert a page break. And now we have a whole new page. It is not going to count in the page count. I'm going to italicize that so it'll be pretty. And I'm probably doing this wrong. I'm sure that author Papyrus has another way to do it, but I'm just going to do that. And so now we have all of this, the front matter. Now let's work on adding a poem. We'll add 3 poems so you can see what it looks like. And then that will be it for today. So I'm going to copy and paste the title. I'm going to come over here, and you can see that this is a numbered chapter. And up in the table contents, which auto-populates, it's the same thing. But I don't want, in a poetry book, to have these numbered. You could have them numbered, but I don't want that. So I'm going to come up here to the headings. You've got heading with no numbers, and then heading with numbers. I'm going to select heading with no numbers, and then I'm going to paste, whoops. Oh, and if you make a mistake, don't panic, just come up here to right here, and you can undo that. I do love layout. It reminds me of, like, say, playing Mahjong. It's very relaxing. Teaching layout is not like playing Mahjong at all, especially when you are in the wrong document and having to vocal constantly. So you can see I just copied the poem. I'm going to paste the poem, and voila, poem's in there. Now I'm going to insert a page break. We're going to start on the second one. So copy that. I am going to change this heading because I do not want a numbered heading. So I've selected non-numbered heading. And I'm going to paste. Boom. And now I will pick up the poem. So you are now through the hardest part of laying out with authored Papyrus. I'm going to do the poem. Now insert page break, and we'll do one more. This one, we don't have any guidelines. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We're just free on our own. That's okay. We're going to hit heading. It starts a heading for us this time instead of us using what was there. Paste. It's as a heading. Let's go to the next line, and I'm already ready to enter. Now, one thing that Author Papyrus doesn't do, or I'm doing it wrong, I don't know how to do this yet, is it doesn't keep its formatting necessarily, which I had that issue with Quark as well. So I think it's probably just a layout issue. And I know in the newspapers, we always had to double check everything line by line to make sure all the italics and bold and formatting stayed correct. But you can see in these two instances, that is not the same. So that's where proofreading and editing comes in, and the layout person can come and they have to go through and make sure these are the same. And that's the whole proofreading process. That's why that's so important. I will say it goes pretty fast. It may seem tedious to look through a book for italics and bolds and all that, but it actually goes pretty fast. I'm not going to do that right now because I want to show you the next steps. So we have 3 poems. If I come up here to the table of contents, you'll see, especially when I hit save, which we need to do, there's the table of contents. I apologize. I'm going to put my phone on vibrate. So there's the table of contents. And now, essentially, I mean, if we had more poems, this was longer, we could download this as a book right now and publish it. It'd be pretty small. And I don't think we could do it. Well, we can't do a paperback that way because it's too small. But that's as much as it is. So now let's do one final thing before we end this class. And that is make this a little bit pretty. So you can come up here to the different fonts. Some of these I downloaded myself. You can find free fonts online. Some of these are just standard, they come with it. But you can do different things. You can, February is a pretty one. Oh, that might actually go really good with this book. And you'll find your favorite fonts that you like to use that just always seem to look good no matter what. This is one of my favorites, Tisa. So you can do that in Tisa. Whoops. I want to bring that space up because we don't have that subtitle. And I'm going to put all of this and say, like Calibri Light is nice. So, and then we'll just leave that Times New Roman. That's fine. Times New Roman is fine. I want to also take this. And I don't do anything with the table of contents as far as formatting it until the very end, because it doesn't matter. And that is going to be, that is like a little bit more of a challenge. There's just one tick box that you have to tick. Otherwise, it can be a very frustrating thing. But I don't like the way that looks. So I want to change it how I like a table of contents to look. And I like, remove, I like my table of contents to be nice and even. Here, whoops, on the other side, here, all the numbers line up. Nice spacing. I do not like the numbers next to it, as you can see, the default one. I don't like that default one. So nothing wrong with it. It's personal taste. But yeah, I don't like that. So that's, we will go and we will be fixing that. But for right now, we're just going to change these, and you would do this at the end. And then you can see that your book is starting to look like your book. We're going to take that page out. It's an extra page. And here's another one in Tisa. And this third one in Tisa. And rinse and repeat. And you will get to the end of this book. You can see all of the difficult parts have been done. You've got the author names up at the top, the title, the page numbers are already there. The table of contents, if I added another poem, that poem and page number would be there. If I change the title down here, so we've got spasm number 7. Well, maybe I don't like 7. Maybe I want it to be 8. Come up here and it's changed to 8. So you can, if back in the day, I used to, layout. You have to change something down here. Somebody decides that Pamante is, you want to use a different word or it's misspelled. Then you have to make sure you go all the way back up and change it in the table of contents. And table of contents is, for me anyways, one of the places that I make a lot of my mistakes in the magazine and stuff and other books that I've published. So that is pretty much it. We are well on our way to getting a book published from start to finish. Again, this is Author Papyrus. I have no affiliation, but I do love using this program. And I have used it quite a few times now since I've gotten it downloaded for free and very successfully. So let me save this because, as I said, it will not save. And there we go. We're ready to start a new one or whatever. Now, next week, we're going to go over art. I'm going to show you how to add art. And I will have a book showing this same book, the Building Story book. I added some art to it, just illustrations to make it a little zazzier. Mostly, I'm testing it out. And I will be able to show you this book, but with a little bit of art in it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm actually turning this into a full class that will be available on Teachable, which I'm going to be doing this week, as well as Building Story. But all of this information will also always be free here on this blog. There's extra information in that, but nothing that, all the tools that you need to publish will be available right here. So, and that is so that we can be empowered, because I truly believe that I have nothing wrong with publishers at all. I am a publisher, but publishing is not for everybody. And authorpreneurs, people that write, that handle their own production and marketing and every aspect of their books, and they're treating them like businesses. If you would like to get into that, that's what this class is for. This is to, or if you have a special project that just isn't fitting in, with any publisher's desires, because publishers are here to make money. That's the point of publishing. If they don't make money, they can't publish anymore. So if you have a project that is a passion project, this would be a good thing for you, because you have all the power to publish it yourself. So, and for free, that's my favorite price. So I hope you enjoyed this Building Authors series, which is building books. I have a bunch of these planned. The next one after this class will be building sales. So telling you from building story, how to formulate your story, and all the tips that helped me to, like, the best things that I found, the best pieces of information in my own career. That's in building story. And then we have how to build the book. Now that you've built the story, you can build the book. And then the next class will be telling you how to sell those books. So that's pretty much it for now. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for joining me today. And let me know what you think.